Hey everyone, and welcome to Backseat Sports. Again, I'm Josh, and that is Caleb, and we are back at it again with another video this week. On top of
Josh,
things,
we're on it.
and
we're
guys,
on top of
we're
it.
only a few days away. A few days from Husker
I
football
can't
kickoff.
Wait.
And Nebraska versus South Alabama, but that's not what we're talking about today. We're not talking about that at all. We're actually barely talking about Nebraska today, relatively, compared to most videos.
No.
Today we're doing the Big Ten West predictions. All of our favorites: Wisconsin, Iowa,
Disgusting.
Purdue, Northwestern. So many great teams to talk about today. And we're gonna go through the predictions to see, who we got coming out of the West. Is it Nebraska? Ooh, cliffhanger. Is it Wisconsin? Ooh, who knows?
Oh man, this is exciting. We get to talk a lot more about some other Big Ten teams than we usually do.
Yeah.
And so to say hello to all of our other Big Ten West teams that
Hello.
are watching this video, we hate you. Just kidding. Just mostly.
Yeah.
But no, we're excited to break this down and talk to it. Give us a little bit different flavor. Josh and I hoping in the future to talk a lot more about Big Ten football as a whole.
Yes.
Obviously, as Husker fans, we have a big vested interest in the Big Ten. So we're really excited to bring some more content. And we're going to start that off this year with Big Ten West predictions. Dum, dum, dum. So where are we going to start this, Josh?
Also, to be fair to our fellow Big Ten fans who aren't Nebraska fans, fire your comments down below. We can take the heat, at the end of the day,
Yeah, we
that's
do.
what it's all about, opposing views. And so we'd love to hear your opinions down below. And also, go check out our Twitter and our Facebooks while you're at it. Backseat Sports YT, Backseat Sports YT on all of those social medias. So go fire that away and check us out.
Starting off the Big Ten West, we're going to talk about Illinois.
Whoa!
Their over-under is 4.5 wins. And you know what? I'm taking the over. They're returning 17 starters this year, and I think they got a decent shot at winning a bowl game. They got a 5-star recruit quarterback, Isaiah Williams. He's 5'10", 170, but I think he's going to be a stud. He's a dual-threat quarterback. With that tandem with Lovie Smith, I think that they have a real chance at doing something this year. Corbin was a pretty decent running back last year, rushed for over 1,000 yards and was third team all Big Ten. I think they're really moving in the right direction. And I think Lovie Smith might finally get the train rolling a little bit for Illinois. But I have them finishing at the bottom of the conference, but at 5-7.
Unfortunate.
But I think they're going to be improved. I think Illinois won't walk away this year as a total loss.
I don't know. First of all, them getting 5-star recruits, can I just say that seems a little fishy? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not a
that's
conspiracy
shady.
guy.
Shady.
I'm not a conspiracy guy, but that's shady. All right, that's all I gotta say. All I'm saying is the last
We're
time
looking at
a
you.
fishy team got 2 5-stars in the same recruiting class was Ole Miss, and a few years later
Busted.
they get busted. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. All right, I'm not saying anything else. But with that said, the next team we're gonna talk about is Minnesota. We both have differing opinions on Minnesota. Actually, we have a small wager on Minnesota going into the season. I have Minnesota going 7-5, 4-5 in the conference. I think they're going to be an improved team over last year, but the problem is their schedule is not favorable. It's a tough one for them. And so even though I think they're going to be a better team overall, I don't think it's going to necessarily reflect in the schedule as much as it could in other seasons. Like we said in our season's predictions for Nebraska, Minnesota's kind of... They finished the season off really well last year. They beat Purdue, they lost close to Northwestern, they beat Wisconsin, and they beat Georgia Tech at the end of the year. So they seem to be headed in the right direction at the end of last season, and improvement seems to be headed their way as well. So turnovers really plagued them last year.
I don't think Minnesota is what they were last year.
They
did finish at the end with some good wins, but let's not also forget that they lost by 20 points to Illinois last year as well. I think there's a little bit of fool's gold. I think that when they played Wisconsin, like one team was a lot more motivated than the other. Wisconsin had some tough losses. Minnesota, like I was playing, for their bowl game, for the Battle of the Axe, that they hadn't won in like 16 years or something like that. I don't know. I just don't see Minnesota making that jump. I have them going 5-7, 2-7 in the conference. I just don't see them improving much more. I just think they might even take a step back. That Wisconsin win was fluky. I just don't see them making a leap like a lot of people see.
I don't know, man. Tyler Johnson's good. Mo Ibrahim's good. I like them. I like them as a team. It's just unfortunate, again, with their schedule. I just don't know if it's going to show as much as it should in the schedule. That's where we disagree. Caleb's a PJ Fleck hater. Let's just get that out of the way right now. All right.
I'm not a hater.
He's a hater. All right. But with that said, we can move forward and talk about the old Wildcats Northwestern.
I have them finished tied third in the Big Ten. I have a 3-way tie in the Big Ten, and I have them coming out on top in the third spot with tiebreakers. So I have them going 5-4 in the Big Ten, 7-5 overall. I think Hunter Johnson's a great addition after losing Clayton Thorson, and Justin Jackson. I think that Northwestern is going to be able to rebound. Having Pat Fitzgerald as a coach is a really great thing for Northwestern.
Yeah.
He provides a lot of consistency and gives them an identity every year. They always play a lot of teams really tough, and they're always in the mix of it. And I think that it's just a case of this year of all the Big Ten teams are pretty close and are going to be beating each other up, especially on that west side.
Yeah.
But I have Northwestern coming in at that third place at 5-4 in the Big Ten Conference.
Again, this is another situation. I totally agree where the Big Ten West is going to be pretty solid top to bottom in a lot of ways. Maybe not as many standout teams as, the East, obviously. But when it comes to like top to bottom, the West is going to be really, really competitive. And I have Northwestern finishing tied with Minnesota, and they end up winning the tiebreaker. Then with losses to Michigan State, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Ohio State, and Iowa. So finishing 4-5 in the Big Ten and 7-5 overall. Again, I think they're going to be a solid team. They're going to be competitive, and they're going to be a threat to everybody in the Big Ten West throughout the whole season. The issue is I just think the other teams are just slightly better in most situations, and that's why I have them going 4-5. They have a tough schedule as well.
I'm totally on the opposite. I really think that Northwestern does a really good job. I have them beating Nebraska, beating Iowa, beating Illinois, beating Minnesota on that west side. So they end up going 4-2. I think that they're going to have a really solid year this year.
Yeah.
And not do as well as they did last year, obviously making the Big Ten championship, but kind of picking up where they left off.
Vegas has them at 6.5 wins, so
I think that's a solid mark for them.
It's pretty solid. Again, I have them winning 7 overall, so
Me too.
That's about where they're going to end up.
All right, next up we're going to be talking about Purdue. 7 wins, 5 losses, and then 5-4 in the Big Ten Conference. I think Purdue's a good team again. There's just the Big Ten West is so equal in terms of power that they're going to be beating each other up. I think Rondale Moore is special. I think that with Sindler that they're going to be able to do some really good things offensively, but there's so many question marks on their defensive side that I think that they're going to get in some track races that they're not going to be able to win.
Yeah, I mean, defensively, they're anchored by Markus Bailey. But, again, Vegas has them at 7 wins. They're right there for it. It's rare for Vegas to put them at a whole number like that. So Vegas thinks, they could go 8 wins. They could go 6 wins. They could go 7 wins. And that's kind of how I feel, too. There's a few toss-up games there when it comes to, Iowa, Northwestern, Nebraska. Those are all kind of toss-up games with Purdue. Based off how good Nebraska could be this year, it's going to be tough if Purdue ends up beating them. They have them at home. That's kind of the decisive game for Nebraska and for Purdue this season. All those games with Iowa, Northwestern, Wisconsin, all toss-ups, and it all comes down to how good Elijah Sindler plays and how good their defense is this year and how much improvement they can actually make. Because last year, their defense was not great by any standard. That brings us right into the third place team for me, which is Iowa, the good old Hawkeyes, Nebraska's love and passion. We love them so much. I have them going 8-4 overall and 6-3 in the division, or in the conference. I'm sorry. It's going to be a tough one overall for the Hawkeyes, but I got them so far.
I have them at 7-5, 5-4 in the conference. Iowa's got a really tough schedule this year. They got a lot of tough teams to play on the crossovers, and they don't have too many of their best games at home this year. So they're traveling to Lincoln this year. And they're also traveling to Michigan and to Penn State. So that is no easy task for those crossover games. Although I don't feel any remorse because Nebraska had to do it last year. So
yeah, literally. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, at Ohio State and at Michigan. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. So I feel like it's just going to be a tough year for Iowa. Iowa does have AJ Apenesa and Tristan Wirth as top 20 draft picks, so they will have some firepower there for them. We'll see how Nate Stanley does this year as well. Some people are really high on him. I'm middle of the pack. I'm middle of the pack on that.
Middle of the pack.
But so I see Iowa going 7-5 this year with some tough games. But they will be formidable in all the games they play.
Vegas has them at 7.5 wins, so that the 7, 8 right in there somewhere. So Iowa, again, that tough schedule it's harder to get over for me. The games at Michigan, at Penn State, at Nebraska, at Wisconsin, those are not easy games. Oof. And I have them dropping all 4 of them as well. So they end up going 5-4 in the conference, 8-4 overall. I have them beating Iowa State earlier in the year. So
that'll be a fun game.
That'll be a fun game for sure. Either way, 8-4 overall, 5-4 in the conference, and I have them winning the tiebreaker against Purdue, which puts them in 3rd place in the Big Ten for me. And that moves us up to the top 2, which, as you guys may have figured out by now, the top 2 are either Wisconsin or Nebraska. If you can guess, we're both wearing Nebraska gear. If you guys watched our predictions video, you might already know where we're going with this.
Yes.
Next, we're going to talk about Wisconsin. So can you guess where they're going? We got Wisconsin finishing second in the Big Ten to the great Nebraska finishing at 1.
Great Nebraska.
Yes, the almighty Nebraska. So Wisconsin's an interesting case, though, because, again, they have the potential to be so good. Jonathan Taylor is the engine of that team. He's the beast of that team. He's got solid odds for a running back, especially to win the Heisman. He's going to be great. He destroys us every single year. I mean, my goodness.
Every Wisconsin running back destroys us every year.
Yeah, right, exactly. And
what's new?
They're poised to do it again this year. So their odds, Vegas has them at 8 wins. It's going to be a tough battle. The biggest thing for Wisconsin is their quarterback situation. Jack Cohn is their starting quarterback.
Yikes.
Yeah, I mean,
Alex Hornibrook wasn't a great quarterback to
and he was backing him up for multiple years. That's the issue I have, is if you can't beat out Alex Hornibrook, are you a good quarterback?
Probably not.
Probably not. So
yeah, he barely beat out a redshirt freshman. I could definitely see that redshirt freshman actually stepping in and becoming the starter. And we all know the old quarterback adage: if you have 2 quarterbacks on your team, you have none. It's a rough spot for them for sure. Second year under a defensive coordinator, maybe they get some more success this year, but I just don't see Wisconsin. I still have them at 8 wins. I think they're 6-3 in the conference. They're definitely gonna be respectable. Dropping that game to Minnesota last year, bad. It's telling. Yeah, it's definitely telling. Wisconsin literally beat them every year over a decade, and for that to kind of happen, to let them loosen their grip on that rivalry that really does say something. And they've gone through 4 defensive coordinators now.
So what do you have them going?
I have them going 8-4 and 6-3 in the conference.
Yeah, so still respectable at least.
No, yeah, they're still a respectable team. Just Wisconsin has been such a powerhouse for the last few years. I just don't think it's going to be that same level that it has been.
Yeah, so I have an interesting situation because you have them losing to Nebraska, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, see, I have them beating Nebraska, but they have 3 losses in the conference, and we're only going to have 2. And so in the situation where they beat us, they still don't make the conference championship. How convenient, right? I know. Very convenient.
What are you doing over there?
I know. I mean, if you guys remember, in my predictions video, I actually did have Nebraska losing 3 games. The more I've looked over it the past 2 weeks in between that time, Nebraska looks good, man. They look so good. And I don't know if it's my heart or if it's my mind telling me that we're only going to lose 2 games, but
it's a tough bet. Yeah, it's tough. That's why you never bet on your own team.
So I have Wisconsin losing to Michigan, MSU, and Ohio State, 3 losses, yet beating Nebraska. So this could just be an unfortunate year for Wisconsin, where they literally are a good team, but they're just barely not as good as Michigan, Ohio State, MSU, and they beat us. But Nebraska has an easier schedule, therefore we make the title game. There is a narrative where they don't win at that many games. They don't win 9. I mean, they have to fill the holes from TJ Edward, Dakota Dixon, and they have a new starting quarterback. I mean, they have just so many questions on the offensive line. It's tough.
Paul Chryst has done something very nice for these last few years.
For sure.
I don't see them losing that many games. But it's a tough year for them. But hey, rebuild years happens.
I mean, if a rebuild year's 5 losses, you're not in too bad a shape.
No, that's pretty good, especially when you have, you need a quarterback. Overall, Josh and I have Wisconsin to be a really respectable team this year. But just because they have so many gaps and holes to fill and the quarterback situation is so scary, we have them finishing 2nd in the conference to number 1 in the Big Ten West, going to Indianapolis this year.
Nobody.
Nebraska. Nobody would have guessed it. No, non-Husker
sucks,
people would have been like, "Who knew? Who knew?"
I hate feeling like a homer, okay? Because
the
issue
suck.
is the rest of the country is picking Nebraska to win the West, but I feel like a homer picking Nebraska to win the West. Just considering how this past 5 years have gone, where it just feels so unlogical to pick Nebraska to win the West, and now this year it feels logical to pick Nebraska to win the West.
Josh and I covered Nebraska last year. The last 2 years going 4-8. We were 16. We're 8-16 these last years. We're not feeling good about ourselves.
Yeah, it just feels slimy for us to pick Nebraska to win the West, but here we are. Both of us picked Nebraska to win the West, 10-2. Caleb differs a little bit, where he's a little bit different, a little bit more confident about that Ohio State game than I am.
I think again, I think I have Wisconsin 2 also beating Ohio State. Ohio State is not the same. I don't know how well
that
I
can
feel
be a
about
video in
Fields.
itself.
I don't know how I feel about
I still believe in Ohio State.
I don't know. But I think so.
Regardless, that game's gonna be game day. Just saying, that game's gonna be game day.
It's gonna be very exciting. Nebraska hasn't had it in a while.
Knock on wood, you know.
Yeah. Adrian Martinez, we have the best quarterback in our division, who's just going to be able to win more games than anybody else. And when you look at that, you know, maybe Northwestern's Hunter Johnson, maybe Nate Stanley for Iowa can do that, but by having Adrian Martinez is just such a game changer. He's third in the Heisman race right now. What? He's third odds. Yeah. He's third in odds for the Heisman.
It's crazy.
I mean, that's insane.
Also, Nebraska was, when we last checked yesterday, 12th in national championship odds.
Yeah, so we're not smoking.
That's insane.
We're not just drinking the Nebraska Kool-Aid because we're Nebraska fans.
Vegas loves us too.
Yeah.
So,
and Las Vegas, you know, the house always wins. You know, it feels weird.
50 to 1
it feels
odds,
wrong,
which is amazing.
But it feels so right at the same time, and all you guys can.
The biggest thing about Nebraska is, like, at some point it feels like our defense is going to cost us a game.
100%.
And, like, is that going to be Purdue? Are we going to get blown out by Ohio State? Are we going to choke against Northwestern?
We're young.
Is
Minnesota there's going to be a game where we don't show up to play, most likely.
Is Iowa going to take us off us in the last game of the year? Like, there's a lot of options there. You know,
that's how it's been in Nebraska's history thus far. So we're expecting at this point. You know.
Yeah, for sure. Again, it's just tough. I think we have Nebraska winning different routes to getting there, or winning the West, different routes to get there. But at the end of the day, those are our predictions. It's tough to say overall. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. We're kind of just going through this. Drop all your comments down below. I know all of you guys have already written your essays down there about why Purdue's going to win the West.
Why your team's going to beat every other team.
And why Illinois is going to win the West. Yeah, so overall, again, we appreciate you guys watching, the support, and all of the shares, the comments, whatever it is, the interaction in general. We really appreciate it. But as always, this has been Backseat Sports. I'm Josh. That's Caleb. And we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.